All right, everyone. Well, welcome to part 2 of our Transformers 2 tutorial. That's right, the movie opens today, and we're all very excited. I'm certainly, of course, can't wait to see it. It's going to be very cool. But continuing on with our little project here, up till now, we've gone ahead and created the logo and distorted it and made it all really fragmented looking here, similar to the way it was in the trailer. Now what we're going to do in this video is add some 3D elements to this, almost like it's really kind of just exploding with metal shards all over the place, and put that all in 3D. And we're going to do that based on this very graphic here. Now, in the last video, just before I finished, I had gone ahead and turned this layer that contains the logo into a 3D layer. That was jumping the gun a little bit there because I didn't want to quite do that yet. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and create a new file that is going to be for our final product. So let's go into the File menu, go to New. And we're going to go ahead and make it 800 by 500 pixels at 100 pixels per inch. So it gives it kind of a widescreen look there. And, of course, the background is default to white. So let's go ahead and change that to black by pressing Command-I. And there we have it. Now, we're going to go back into that original file. And inside the Layers panel, if I drag and drop this as it is, we're simply dragging and dropping the 3D layer, and I don't want to do that. I want the original 2D version. So inside that 3D layer, we're going to go under the textures down here to Layer 4, double click on it, and it opens up the file, very similar to that of a smart object. And there's that two-dimensional graphic. So let's take that and just simply drag and drop it into our working document. I'm going to hold down my Shift key so it drops it in the center, and there we have it. Now, what I want to do now is create the various metal shards that will be exploding or protruding out of this. So we're going to start by going in here, and I'm going to go in here, grab my lasso tool from the toolbar here, and what we're going to do is just generate selections of random parts of this graphic that will pretty much be the metal shards we use. So let's start by down here at the bottom. I'm just going to draw a selection around this area here. Now I have two options here. I can copy this. I can basically cut this to its own layer or copy it to its own layer. In this case, we're going to copy it. I'm going to press Command-J. And if I grab my Move tool, you can see that there's that one shard. And I'm just going to put it right in the middle of my file. I'm going to continue on. Let's reselect that original layer. And I'm going to go in here and let's grab another area. Grab this dark little shard here. Again, Command-J puts it on its own layer. If I drag and move it, there it is right there. So let's just go get some other parts. Let's take maybe this part right here. And in this case, on this particular shape, I am going to go ahead and just cut that from the original layer. So I'm just going to press Shift Command-J. And that basically does not make a copy. It now puts that on its own layer. And again, let's put that in the middle there. And let's go ahead and do one more. And let's get a metal piece. Let's turn these off. Let's get a kind of a big one here. Let's do kind of this area right here. So again, Command-J is going to put that on its own layer. It's Control-J on Windows. So there's that right there. Now, I've only got 4 different shards here that I've created. And you'll, of course, want to probably go in there and make many more. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make one more myself here. Let's get a little tiny one from up here. And you want to get ones that are, varying colors and sizes, and just so it looks a little bit more varying when you go to create this effect. All right. So I'm going to turn off that original background layer. Here I have 5 different shards from that logo on their own layer. So let's go in here and turn each one to a 3D layer. Select that top one, go into the 3D menu, go to 3D postcard from layer. And I'm just going to go down the line and do it to all of them. Each one we're turning, or basically putting in 3D space by turning it into a 3D postcard layer. Now, also going to go ahead and do it to the original logo in the background. So let's go into 3D and new 3D postcard from layer. So now, still going to turn that one off for now, and let's reselect and go back up to the very top of the layer order. Now, I'm not going to use my Move tool. I'm actually going to use the 3D Pan tool. So if you go in your 3D tools and go down here, it's the third one down, Pan tool, and we can basically slide this around in 3D space. So I'm going to move that one over there. Let's select the next layer. We'll nudge it over a little bit. Next layer, let's nudge it. Next layer, let's give that a little bit of a push there. and just nudge them up and down, just kind of scatter them. You can even go in here and use the 3D rotate tool and push that around in 3D space, just like that. Certainly try different ones, get different perspectives on them. You can also go ahead and use the slide tool, push it back in space. While it appears we're scaling it, we are actually, in fact, pushing it back in space. Let's go and grab this one over here. We'll have it slide that forward. So I think you get the idea. So now what we want to do is combine all of these shard elements into their own layer, into a single 3D layer, while still keeping them 3D elements. So let's go ahead and select 2 layers at a time. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and click Select 2 layers. Go into the 3D menu, Merge 3D Layers. It'll go ahead and combine those. Let's select the next 2. Again, Merge 3D. Once again, Merge 3D. It is a pain. You can only merge 2 3D layers at a time, but it's worth it. All right. So now we've got all those on their own 3D layer. So let's take our Master 3D Rotate tool and just give us a turn. And notice we've got those shards now in 3D space. Pretty neat. So now, let's make a duplicate of that set of layers. We go ahead and press Command J. And let's just give us a turn in the other direction. So we can create just a wide array of shattered elements here, just kind of moving around. We can even use our axis widget here to go ahead and highlight specific areas like this rotate area here. We'll give that a bit of a turn there. We can always modify it later, but get the idea. Again, let's go ahead and combine those 2 layers together. And it's going to combine those. You'll notice that the layers, the sublayers, all break down each an individual element, but it's all contained now in one 3D layer. And there's our 3D logo as before. And again, we're going to go and combine those 2 into 3D layers. So now we got all these elements, and they're all going to be existing on one single 3D layer. And if we grab this and move it around in space, you'll notice that those shards are just all scattered all over the place. Now, of course, we are using a movie logo as an example here, and we're just showing how you can put these elements together, but you can see the possibilities of taking elements, whether it's just scattered particles or different types of elements like that, and just putting them in 3D space, pushing them back, bringing them forward, and then combining them all together. You can create an element that has a very 3D, I mean, you'll notice that all these elements are still 2-dimensional. Notice if we position it a little bit, it's still flat. But given the way we position it, we can go in here and modify it to give it a very interesting look. Now, again, you can go into your 3D panel and modify each one of those shards individually. So if we go inside of the 3D panel in the second icon here for the mesh area, we can highlight specific meshes inside of this document and use these specific tools to reposition them. So if we've got this element over here, we want to give it, there it is right there, give it a little bit of a movement there. It's pretty much mirroring that one underneath it, so let's give it more of a rotation so it doesn't look exactly the same. But we have that ability to go in here and modify these individual elements even though they're combined all inside of one 3D layer. Now, just to show you kind of a finish, if you tick this a little bit further, and we're able to go in here and apply some animation, again, you can go in the animation panel, and on this particular 3D layer, right in here, you can see we've got objects. You can animate the object position, the camera, and things like that. Experiment with those a little bit, and you can put together something that looks a little bit like this. So you can see I've got all those scattered elements just kind of resting in space, and this logo is just kind of turning, and all those elements are turning with me in 3D to produce a very, very cool effect. So there you have it. Go check out the movie. I hope you enjoy it. I know I will. But have fun with the tutorial and experiment with the 3D features, and we'll have more coming soon.